Hi there, everyone. My name is Prerak Juthani. I'm a third-year internal medicine resident at Stanford, and today I'm going to tell you about how much money I make. I feel like, as anyone in healthcare knows, we put off thinking about money for as long as we can. One, because we're in a ton of debt, and two, because we've always learned that money is not the answer to everything. If anything, we were taught that, you might make money as a doctor, but that shouldn't be the reason why you go into medicine. However, it is important to know the type of finances that you can expect as a resident physician, and also to know the types of expenses you might have. So at the end of the video today, I'm going to actually walk you through a literal paycheck that I have in my Workday account, and I'm going to show you how resident salaries are calculated and given. I go to Stanford, and I think we've been very lucky. I think the program takes excellent care of us, but I'll tell you that resident programs across the country may not be as caring, and so I just want to shed light on the fact and acknowledge some of these disparities that exist. With that being said, the goal for this video is not necessarily to share that I make a ton of money, because I don't particularly think it's all that much, but it's more important to understand the context in which this money is being made. For example, I often work 80 hours a week. You're often working so much that you don't even have enough time to reflect on where the money you made is going, but to also understand the types of things that get taken out of your paycheck that you may not know about. At least in the United States, you're going to have federal taxes, you're going to have state taxes, you're going to have Social Security, and all of those things get taken out of your salary. It's very important to know how that's calculated. I have an MBA, and I got the MBA when I did my MD. This is something that I learned a little bit there, but much more importantly, I just think I've learned much more in residency, because I've had to take good care of my finances to make sure I'm not spending more than I'm making. So with that being said, I'll told you that the salaries tend to vary, and the goal for this video is just to understand what a pay stub will look like if you were to work as a resident. I will tell you that within an institution, your salary will not vary. If you're a resident and you're a first-year resident at institution X, usually all first-year residents get paid the exact same amount regardless of your specialty. Salaries are specialty agnostic, and it's usually based on the year. PGY2s, aka second-year residents, make more than first-year residents. Third-year residents make more than second-year residents, and on and on. So if you're a seventh-year resident, you will still be making way more than a sixth-year resident, but the amount of increase is usually dependent on the institution. The amount of salary that everyone makes across the year is the same, except for moonlighting. This is a term that you may not know about. Moonlighting means that you do extra work on top of your resident duties, often meaning that you're working above 70 to 80 hours a week if needed, to supplement your income. Some places allow you to go above 80 hours a week if you want to do that. My program does not, so oftentimes I can't go above 80 hours, even if I wanted to moonlight, so we're not allowed to do that. A big realization that you will make in residency is that money definitely does not buy happiness, but it does help. There are so many basic necessities you need, whether that's help with cleaning your house, you may need help just making sure you're maintaining your sanity. So if that means being able to go out to eat a few days a week, or if that means being able to pick something up on the way, you need to have disposable income for that, okay? So here's the basics. A bit about my program. Stanford was unionized before I started residency, which means that they formed a union. And then the union actually ratified a contract with our graduate medical education department, our GME department. And that means that they made a lot of positive changes for me. That means that most residency programs may not have a union, and that's one of the reasons why I advocate that if you truly feel like you're not being paid what you deserve, you should unionize. It's definitely helped us. We have now been able to increase our salary quite a bit, and we have a few more benefits which we're grateful for. My residency program has a salary and benefits, and most residency programs will have that. They'll have a salary, and they may also have benefits. What do I mean by benefits? Usually, healthcare should be paid for. You may also have dental insurance. There is a 403b. A 403b is basically like a 401k. They take money out of your salary, and they take it pre-tax, which means it doesn't get taxed, and that money goes directly into a retirement account. And then later on, when you take it out in retirement, you actually get taxed at a lower rate because you're in a lower income bracket, and then you can ultimately use it for retirement. So those are the types of benefits that residencies can offer. So just so you know, because of our unionization and we have this new contract that was just ratified, based on the most recent contract, we recently got a new housing allowance, and instead of $800 a month, which is what we were getting, we now get essentially $10,000 total, which is nice. We also have another $1,000 cell phone allowance that's added every year to essentially allow us to get a cell phone if we need. They give us a $2,000 meal allowance, and they also give us a $2,000 educational allowance. So these are some of the benefits that we get. These are some of the things that happen because we were unionized, and this was added on to our paycheck, which I'm going to show you. Okay. The other thing is I told you they often have benefits. So here's the benefit that we have. On top of paying for our health insurance and dental insurance and all of that stuff, Stanford also agrees to match whatever I put into my 401k. So they give basically 2% of my salary already into my 401k. And then if I put in another 2% of my salary, they match it again. So this is all more for like down the road thinking, but a 401k, aka a 403b, when a 401k is the same as a 403b in a nonprofit, and because Stanford is a nonprofit, we call it a 403b. So this is just one of the benefits that we get in terms of retirement. So now I want to talk to you about the logistics of payment. When you get paid, you will see one big number and you'll see a smaller number after that. You'll see gross income and you'll see net income. Most paychecks occur every 2 weeks, at least where I work, and so that means I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. That paycheck has that big number, which is what I'm going to show you, and then there are things that they take out, which is what I call TYTO. The things they take out include things like taxes and retirement contribution. Taxes include Social Security, they include Medicare, they include federal withholding, state tax in California, as well as California SDI. This is California specific. If you're in a different state, you're going to be taxed at a different rate. It also takes out whatever I'm contributing to my 403b. So this doesn't mean that I'm not going to get that money back. The stuff that I contribute to my retirement is taken out now and put into my retirement account and invested into usually ETFs. The investment is now going to mature over the next 40-ish years, and then when I turn 65 or whenever I decide to retire, I can use that essentially to sustain my life, right? The net income, which is that second number on the paycheck, is the gross income minus the things that you take out, which includes your retirement and your taxes usually, okay? So now let me show you what a pay stub looks like, and we'll walk through it together so you understand. Here is a general pay stub. I have bleeded out all of the things that I don't want you to see, primarily because it's my personal information, and the things underneath are my year-to-date information. The things I want you to take away are the things that we're going to walk through, and we're going to walk through this very closely and very slowly, and we'll do it together, okay? I don't want you to get overwhelmed with it just yet, okay? So now let's go through it. Here is my first step. You can see that the pay period began and the pay period end basically just talks about what pay period you're being paid for. I told you pay periods are in the span of 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks you get paid. So you'll see that the 2 weeks here are from 18th to the 31st. Now you'll see that first number I talked to you about. This is the amount I made in those 2 weeks, 3,763. And then you'll see that the second amount is usually the net pay, right? And the net pay is something that happens after everything is taken out. So you'll see that this is my 403b contribution. This is the taxes that I had to pay, and this is the post-tax deduction. And so you take this number minus this number minus this number minus this number, and you're going to get this number, okay? So that's kind of the general way that the salary works. Every 2 months, the amount that actually enters my bank account is usually around $2,000. Again, recognize that I'm a PGY3, which means I make more than the PGY2s do, and I make more than the PGY1s do. But the whole point of this is that you know that this is how much I make. And now when you double that, that's essentially how much I'm making every 4 weeks. This is actually a pretty reasonable salary, but the problem is in the Bay Area, rent tends to be around $2,000 to $3,000. And so after you subtract the rent and then you subtract your basic cost of living, you don't end up with all that much, but it is nice because I do feel like our program has taken care of us and given us a reasonable salary. With that being said, let's go through this very slowly now, just so you understand it. So the first thing I'm going to show you is every 2 weeks, my program basically assumes that we work 80 hours. You may work more than 80 hours over 2 weeks because remember the residency limit is 80 hours a week. Usually I work between 70 to 80 hours a week. So in theory, I'm working around 160 hours here, but we only get paid essentially for 80. That 80 hours means that I get paid around 3,763. This is the raw income. This includes that bonus I told you about. This includes the fact that we had a contract ratification. We got a 5% bonus. So I'm very grateful for that. Now, with that money, that 3,763, the federal government as well as the California state government will take out this much from this paycheck. This is part of the Social Security, Medicare, all of those things. So this $700, $798 gets taken out from this. Then another $827 is also taken out from this number. However, this is going into my 403b, which is my retirement account. I'm usually a pretty aggressive contributor to my retirement account because right now, if we contribute to our retirement, the earlier you contribute to your retirement, the more that will add up. The reason for that is compounding interest. This $827 is going into my retirement account. That retirement account is then investing it into long-term index funds, which are basically like stocks, and those index funds return a certain amount every year. So the earlier you get in, the more you're likely to benefit because you'll see that it exponentially gets higher and higher. So if you have $20,000 in your retirement now, you compound $20,000 over 50 years compared to 51. 51 years is going to be a lot of money compared to 50 because it ends up exponentially growing. Okay. I'm not going to get into the math of that. Just know that that's why I've been so aggressive with my contributions for my 403b. Not to mention my employer also matches some of that contribution. So it's very important to be aggressive with contributing to your retirement account. The other things that I'm not going to get too much into is that because we have a union, they often take some money out of the post-tax dollars. So that means that once you have this amount, you pay your taxes and you pay this pre-tax. That is now your post-tax money. Now your post-tax money, I have the union, so I pay $60 for my union fees because we have the union and that's what we have to pay for. And then I also have some supplemental life insurance, and that's another reason I get this post-tax deduction. Okay. And now you'll see that my employer pays around $900 in benefits every 2 weeks. Like I have really good health insurance. They also give a matching to my 403b, and they also give me dental insurance. So you'll see that they pay for that stuff right here. And so when you take all of this, I make around $2,000 a month, and my employer is also paying around $900 in benefits. So overall, I think it's a pretty good gig. I feel like we are treated fairly. I work hard, but at the same time, I truly do feel like our program cares about us. It's one of the few things I really have learned to appreciate, that, money is important. It's definitely something that sustains everyone's life, and it's important for you to be compensated fairly and also for you to be able to do what you need to do in your life. And unfortunately, money has a lot to do with that, especially when it comes to health and being able to support those you love. So I hope this was a little bit more helpful for everyone to see what it's like to get paid. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I look forward to obviously trying to help as much as I can. If you like this video, please drop a like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.